Right, this is the Truggy. Now, before we get to the real point of the video, the flux is all packed away, up for sale. It's on a few websites at the minute. Comes with the batteries and everything ready to go, all the accessories. So if you do want it, just message me and we'll have a chat. I want a reasonable price for it. I'm not going to ship it across the world. Stay in the UK because it would cost more to ship it than it would be what it's worth probably. And that's that. Right, back to the real point of this video. Now I had I've got the heater on by the way because it's a bit nippy. I had a comment on one of my other videos. Someone's got one of these. I'm sorry I can't remember your username because I looked at your video, your comment this morning, and I've only just decided to come and do this, and I've forgotten what your username was. But you've bought one of these, and it's second hand apparently. You had a couple of tanks through it, but that's it. But you can't get it to start, right? So I thought I'd go through the starting procedures for these engines, because they're ordinary two-stroke engines like you would get on a petrol scooter or a go-ped or maybe even a strimmer, something like that. A very stupid design. The design is very, well, it's not thought through at all really, because what they've got is they've got the engine there, but then they've got the bloody exhaust. It's on its side, and then they've got the exhaust at the bottom there. So that collects oil in there, and it just gets blocked up. It don't come out of the exhaust. It's ridiculous. Why you'd want to put an engine on its side, I have no idea. It should be upwards. It should be up. That's how it should be, facing up, with the plug on the top, facing up. The exhaust should be coming out the back. But this being a cheap, well, I wouldn't call it cheap actually. What these cost, for the way that they're designed and built, I wouldn't say they were cheap. I'd say they're pretty expensive because they're not thought through at all, really. But it doesn't matter. We'll go through the starting procedure. First of all, you want to make sure you got enough petrol. If you ain't got enough petrol, then you ain't going to get it going, are you? But we got enough in there. It's down there. You can just see it down there. But you can also see it in there. There is a bit in there. And there's a little filter in there as well. So we'll put that back up because it stinks. I like the smell of petrol though. So once you've done that, if it's been sitting for a while, you want to give it a shake. You want to mix all that oil back in again. You want to make sure that the oil is mixed in with the fuel, because what happens is if you leave your truck, or even if you leave it in the can, if you've got a can, like a petrol can, and it's just sitting there, all the oil, the two-stroke oil that you've put in there settles down to the bottom. So then when your fuel line sucks it up, it'll be sucking in neat fuel, neat petrol without the oil in it. So you want to make sure you give it a good shake to make sure it's mixed up properly, so you don't go running your engine lean, because you don't want to be doing that. Once you've made sure that it's mixed up, you want to then, what I always like to do is just make sure, because you don't want to go starting your little engine up and it's on full throttle. It's a good idea to have the radio on, and you can test the throttle with the radio to make sure that it's not stuck open. But I ain't got the radio here, it's run out of battery, I don't know where it is. So we're just gonna find it with my hand and move the throttle. That's on tick over there. Oh, pardon me. Random sneeze. Right, so that's on tick over. That's a lovely job. If you're doing it yourself, it'll only take, I don't know, 30 seconds, less than that. You can get this started in, but because I'm going to explain it takes longer. Then you got your needles for tuning, and that's your idle screw. Don't worry about them for now. There you got your primer. Now you want to prime it, because if you look, if I turn it around again, dear me, the gas that comes out of that makes your nose sting. As you can see, there's air bubbles in the fuel line. You can just see one rising up there now, and that's what you don't want. And there's another one up here, so you don't want that. So That's what the primer's for. A lot of people forget to prime. They wonder why it don't bloody well start. But you want to press the primer until there's no more air bubbles in your fuel. It just goes back into the tank. I mean, don't go back into the tank. It comes out the tank here and goes back in. There's a few bubbles there, but we don't want to worry about them. They're not important. That's also full up, right? You just see that that's your return. They're going to come back up there. That's just the way it is. So you primed it, because you've got to remember this one isn't see-through, so you can't see the air bubbles in this one. Then you got your choke on and off, on and off, on and off. You got your choke on, and you just give it a good pull. Really. That's about it, my friends. There's not a lot to it. Anyone who knows how to start an engine will know how to start one of these. It's a simple thing to do. I can't really think of any other way to explain it. It's as simple as that. You should really check your air filter as well, really, but you know, we're just going through the starting procedure. Simple dimple. If it ain't starting, first thing you want to do is to take your spark plug out. Make sure you got a spark, because if you ain't got a spark, you ain't gonna start. Before you go taking apart your carburetor and all the other crap, you want to make sure you got a spark, because it's just pointless taking apart everything in there when the simple thing was you ain't got a spark. You might need a new plug, your button might be stuck down. The button often gets stuck down on mine because it's cheap and things like that. That's about it, my friends, for the starting procedure. It'll start right up once you've got that. As long as you've got fuel going through and your return is not full of bubbles. If you've got bubbles coming up your return, then you've got bubbles in your carb and you've got bubbles in your fuel line, and you don't want any air. Well, there you go. I don't know what I'm going to do next for a next video, but there will be some stuff coming up in the winter. I'll probably take this out if it snows. Oh yeah, man, I love a bit of snow.